Hello teachers, happy Monday. It is a beautiful April day. I mean, it doesn't get much better than this. I know there's storms coming later in the week, but I'm just so grateful to spend a couple minutes with you today. I want to tell a story and then share a principle and kind of keep this brief today, but something super critical. The topic under our efforts to be better at teaching by the Spirit is this question: do those you teach know that you are more interested in what they're learning than completing a lesson? And that comes directly from teaching in the Savior's way, and it got me thinking a little bit about our need to always be ready to respond to promptings that are going to lead us to helping learners assess their understanding of what we've been teaching. So here's the story. Yesterday I was invited to help teach a lesson with the missionaries in our ward. A friend who's got a baptismal date. Super excited. She was very humble, very accepting. There were some really positive things that were going on. And the lesson was on the importance of prophets, and specifically on their role, their authority from God to be prophets. And so the missionaries, they taught their lesson and everything seemed really good. And we talked about the Bible and how they're the words of prophets and how we have prophets today and they're just as important as Moses was in ancient times. And when the missionaries got done teaching, they asked this question. They said, "Do you have any questions about what we've been talking about?" And she responded, "No, that all makes sense. That sounds good." And I took it one step further and I said, "Well, and I was kind of in a little bit of disbelief, like, really? You don't have any questions about like prophets? Can I?" And so I asked her. I said, "Let me ask you a question then." And she was okay with that. I said, "How do you know if a prophet is actually called of God, or if it's what the scriptures call a false prophet? And how do we tell the difference?" And she said, "Actually, I do have a question." And that led her to asking questions about where do prophets get their authority? And how do we have priesthood? And where do priesthood holders get their authority? Anyway, so it just led to her asking more questions and us realizing she didn't fully understand the principle that was being taught. And so led to a wonderful conversation. Asked her again, do you have questions? What did you hear? What do you understand? Like, can you repeat back to me what you heard? And she was great and everything was wonderful. I think that sometimes one of the biggest mistakes that teachers make is that we think we've got to be, I've got to give my lesson. I've done all this prep work. I've got it all written down. I've got my PowerPoint presentations and I've got these great stories that I want to tell. And we get so consumed with giving our lesson that we don't allow enough room for the Spirit to guide us to say, your preparation was good, but your students have these needs. And if we are good at asking questions to assess their understanding, it's going to lead us in different places. And it's a little bit scary because that means we're not going to be quite so guided by a lesson plan. But the promise is that as we are prepared and we know the materials, we can adapt and adjust pretty quickly to meet the needs of our learners, our students. So I just invite you to think about questions in your lesson planning that you can ask periodically through your lessons that will help to assess the understanding of your learners. And if it's just a simple quiz, one simple method is to start off with a quiz at the beginning of the lesson, and you can make it as like straightforward as you want, or you can even be a little, my brother Ricky likes to be a little vague in some of the questions that are going to require some thought, especially if you want to go like a true false, and give them something to think about teach the lesson and then go back and take the quiz again and just see, all right, did they pick up on the important principles? You'll be able to see and you'll be able to gauge, and then you can even ask them questions like, how many of you guys did better the second time? What did you learn? What did you pick up? What didn't you understand the first time that you understand now? And these will be really good ways for you to make sure that the things that you're striving to teach them are coming through, and especially if the Spirit's prompting you, yeah, we need to slow down on this point. God bless you in your efforts. Have a great week.